call this meeting to order. The roll call, Council at Large Cummins, Council at Large Spear.
Here.
Ward number 1 Leeper. Here. Ward number 2 Anderson.
Here.
And Ward number 3 McNeil. Here. Sorry, Brian.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So to agenda approval. If there are no additions, is there a motion for approval?
So motion. Second.
Spear was first and Leeper was second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
All right, so we'll move down to communications, and there is one person scheduled. It's Laura Twain. Make your way to the podium.
You can still see me over this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I have been before you a couple of times about my building project, adding a handicap ramp to my building in an alley. When we did the actual pouring of the cement on the ramp, the condition of the driving portion of that alley between me and the bank was in such disrepair, we've decided that it would really affect our quality and longevity of my ramp if we left it in the condition it was. So we went ahead and we paved, concreted 425 square feet of the actual driving lane. That's just south or top of my ramp. And I would just like to ask the council to consider maybe reimbursing me for part of that.
What amount are we talking about?
The contractor has said that that 425 square feet is worth $4,400.
When this was happening, did you call anybody such as Steve?
I did not. Brett may have, but I don't remember asking him.
I don't recall any discussion
Okay.
about additional alley resurfacing.
Oh, you know how thick he made it?
No, I don't. But I can find that out.
How many square feet is it?
425?
What was this total square footage poured, Laura?
Ooh, that I don't have.
Okay, so of your portion?
Yeah. My total bill for all of that cement work came to $27,000. A little more than the 8 he said at first.
Yeah.
But, well, just want you to consider. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Twain was the only scheduled, so we'll move on to the unscheduled communications. If there's anybody who'd like to address the council, you can make your way to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Roy Hodgson, 210 East 6th Street, Tipton. I have a couple of concerns about, and I'm sure you can clear these up during the course of your agenda discussion, so you don't have to answer them right now, but regarding the change order on the street project, which is $100 and some thousand, just curious, maybe you can let us know, was there not a contingency amount on that bid, and wasn't that pre-engineered, or at least didn't somebody at least drop the specs on that project, and shouldn't some of that have been discovered before the project even started? Because it seems to me like you're going to be spending a lot more money than you anticipated if you have to make a change order of that large amount. So I'm just a little bit, maybe you can answer those questions when you're going through that change order tonight. A couple good things. And I was down, or the health fair on Friday, and even since then, I took a good look at your planters downtown, and they look spectacular. Dean did a great job all the years that he took care of it, but it appears he's left the greenhouse in good hands because they look fantastic downtown this year. They're overflowing and practically running amok. So that looks really nice, and the streets do look good that are done, and you can now drive down them without dodging puddles. So, thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you, Larry.
I concur. It's nice to have those streets done, and they did it in a timely fashion.
There were some people that were upset with the 80 handicap areas, but their fears were answered in showing that the complete job was done and done excellently. So they were worried when they first saw it that oh, my grass is not going to grow right there. Well, it does. It looks good.
Yes.
So that kind of dispelled their concern.
All right, so now, if no one else wants to address the council, we'll close that part of the meeting and move on to the consent agenda. These can be enacted with one motion, and they're the approval of the city council minutes from July 15th, approval of library minutes from June 18th, the approval of the library director's report from June of 2019, the approval of a liquor license renewal for Casey's, and the claims list approval. Do any of these need to be pulled out to be discussed? Seeing there are none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Leeper and Anderson?
Spear.
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to new business. The first one, which is the discussion of possible action concerning pay apps 1, 2, and 3 to HBK Engineering for the Aquatic Center project.
Yeah, I didn't notice this before, I'm sorry about that. It should be Sheets Construction,
Well,
as recommended by HBK. They, on 1 and 2, the way I heard it was there was a new person at HBK, and she didn't realize that she had to forward those first 2 pay applications to us. So we didn't have them until this meeting. And so then the third one would have come in around now anyway. That's why there are 3 on
and just to make sure, this is for work that has been completed.
there. Yes, yes.
All right, is there any other questions for Brian? See, there's none. Is there a motion? McNeil with the first and Spear with the second.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
The second one, which is discussion of possible action concerning B&K engineering proposal for the CDBG project.
I'm gonna call Evie up to, in case I need help. This would be a contract that takes us through the entire project, and this has to do with a community development block grant application for sewer mains and the replacement of the 4-inch water main on North Avenue. And Brian can talk about them in more detail. In order to get this to the point that the state wants you to get to make an application, we would have to go through the drawing up of bid specs. And the cost of doing that is segmented out at $39,500. Now, there are some things in there that would happen after design that are in that $39,500, but I don't know how they break out. Most of the $39,500 is going to be for design. So if we were awarded the grant, we would proceed with the rest of the agreement. And that's quoted at 15,500, and then he has a couple of, or one hourly thing, where he's estimating, but the total engineering is not to exceed 76,000 if we get awarded and if it gets all done. The concern that I had was we haven't been batting very well on grant applications with Stroke. And this would be the third application since earlier this year that we would be making to the Iowa Economic Development Authority, or IEDA. It used to be the DED, but now they've changed their name. So we had a call to the state, their staff last week, for who judged our CDBG application for housing rehab, which we lost. And on the same call was one of the staff members who's involved with the water sewer. And we were trying to understand why we fell short on the housing rehab grant. We were told on the call that we fell out of the money by 1.5 points. I have to admit, I tried to work the ref a little bit for the next grant about, noticing us and, being objective about these things. And I also made the point that I didn't feel very confident about having the city council approve a contract for almost 40,000 if we don't really have a good chance. And so we were trying to gather what our chances are. The combined sewer water main project is something over 800,000. We would qualify for a grant of 400 to 600, something like that, thousand, or it could be less, but I think the typical award would be around half. The next application that we would shoot for, if this is approved, is October 1st. If awarded, it would have construction in the summer and fall of 2020. The one saving factor for me is, unlike housing rehab grants that have an annual, one-time-a-year application process, for this type of infrastructure, there's a quarterly application. So if we submitted by October 1st and didn't get it, we could have them give us the scoring sheets that they had and hopefully fix it well enough for the next quarter's application. That gave me a different kind of perspective. With that, I think I would recommend trying, or I'm going to recommend trying. Now, Brian, could you talk a little bit more about what the project is supposed to do?
Yeah, so it's going back to the study that McClure did in 2017, the deficiencies that they found, and we asked Veenster and Kim initially to look at those deficiencies. And then when Census Tract 2 came along, we thought, okay, we're not very well going to qualify for a town-wide CDBG, but in that tract, yes, possibly, potentially could. But there's about 9 blocks of sewer main within that area that need lining, and there's about 18 manholes that are grade 4 and grade 5 defects. And so there's a fair amount of need just in that area. And so that work would be advantageous to the sewer collection system by blocking out quite a bit of I&I. And that's our goal. So I think in order to vote properly on this, we gotta consider a little bit. If we get the CDBG, we're in for sure, we're gonna do it, but we gotta consider if we don't get the CDBG, are we gonna go ahead anyway? I think that's the big question. If we're willing to, even if we don't get approval, which, could happen, then are we gonna press ahead with it? Because if we don't get the CDBG and our intention is to drop it there, then maybe we don't wanna make this investment. I'm not trying to sell it or not sell it, I'm just trying to be objective here, but I think because of the way we've leaned a little bit on the IEDA, and because we've been striking out so far, I think maybe the timing's right. I'm biased, but I would hope that maybe this one would catch, and we would get it. And so I'm optimistic about that. But I also think about the obligation we have with the Highway 38 project. And we're talking about a southwest lining project. I mean, we can plan to the moon and back, but we're probably no sense in planning too many $1 million ahead, right? So, but this one I'm hopeful for. Highway 38 is gonna happen regardless. And then of course the plant upgrades. So, yeah, there's no guarantee that we're gonna get it. But like Brian mentioned, if you caught that, part of the scoring is how far along are you in the planning? And if you're to the drawing up of bid specs, then that gets you extra points. That means you're quite a ways down the road in the planning process. So,
I was also hoping that, I don't know if they would, but I was hoping they would look at the fact that, and we were trying to tell them that on the phone, North Avenue is likely a detour during the Highway 38 project. And it would be ideal if we had a grant and then could relocate that water main behind the curb before we have all sorts of new traffic going down. So that's another point we try to get across.
it happens to be right on the boundary of the Census Tract 2. And in discussion with them, they had no problem with including that in the process. So, and we've dug up there a lot of times, we'd sure like to see that be part of this. It would be one of the high priorities for the grant. Because that water main is pretty bad up there, so.
Right now, I think the water main is in the bid specs. So it's, in a way, it's a part of the 38 project. But again, to answer Brian was saying, if we didn't get it this time around, would we do the project or would we quit? I would keep trying. I would keep trying on those quarterly applications at least for a year.
That would be my question. If we would spend this up to $76,000, how long is that good for? I mean, if we didn't get the grant this time out the gate, and in 3 months we apply, would it still be information that we can have?
I think it would still be good, yeah. I
Oh,
don't think,
it wouldn't?
I think it would
Oh,
still
okay.
be good. I don't think there would be anything that would outdate. I mean,
So maybe up to a year would it hold?
I think, yeah. And she did, she said in that conference call from IEDA, she said that sometimes they see that where you get a miss on this round, but the next quarter sometimes it'll happen. So,
I mean, I would think then it's worth the investment if we can have it there and they know we have it and we're ready to pull the trigger.
the only thing that maybe wouldn't carry is if you actually went through the bidding and had the bids. The bids probably wouldn't, that would be, but I don't think we would take it to that point.
Not to actual bids, no. We would have to know whether we won. Because you wouldn't want to accept a bid and not know if half your financing is there.
Right.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Where would any of us be if we hadn't taken the chance? chess being a quarterly thing that we can get back into, but we need to do that.
Would that be a motion?
That's my motion.
All right, Lieber with the first to approve this,
I'll second.
Spear with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yeah.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
All right. There you go. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Number 3, discussion and action concerning a proposal by Garden Engineering to do a hydrology study of the football field project, and it's estimated at $2,500 to $3,000. Brian?
I'm also gonna call Steve up in case I need help with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the school's project, or part of it, in the football field. The school owns the property, the city has a 30-inch concrete stormwater main going down the middle, under the middle of the field. There doesn't appear to be any easement. The city sold or transferred the property to the school in 2001. And again, there's no mention of the city retaining an easement. I talked to the surveyor, and he doesn't remember being asked to do anything about an easement. And so the school district is proceeding with bids, and it assumes,
Not yet. They still have a public hearing.
if they proceed, their project would demolish the 30-inch line and replace it with a 36-inch line and connect to an existing 36-inch main in another place. And all of that connects to city stormwater main upstream for quite a ways. They didn't study the hydrology of what this might do. And in the end, maybe it's just fine. But at this point, it would be good to know if it's fine. Because I have a feeling that in the end, we're going to end up with it. I think ultimately, the city's going to end up with it. Because I think we always assumed that the main that's there now was ours. If it would have broken some way, we probably would have gone and fixed it. But now it appears that it isn't officially ours. But I have a feeling that it'll be treated that it is ours if something happens with whatever's there now or whatever happens to be there later.
I think, Brad, the one thing that you and I are aware of in the school is this football field will have really quick drainage. It's supposed to be able to handle 13 inches of rain an hour. That's just like running off of a roof almost, and it's a big area. Now downstream, under where it collects and then goes under 7th Street, 130 down there, the box culverts appear to be size large enough to handle that kind of thing. And beyond that, it sure appears that way. However, the concern that we have, that we brought to the school district, is that if we get that kind of flow, and this would be a big rain obviously, but we're having big events these days, if that flow kind of backed up from that point at that new 36-inch main and backed up into that field and there were problems, who's responsible for the damage to the field? And that, and there again, maybe there's enough hydrology there, enough capacity to deal with all that, but we don't know that. So, and keep in mind too, we've got about a third of the town, I'm just ballparking this, that comes down through that football field from all the way up to the nursing home. All that area drains down through there, and there's been a couple of times that I'm aware of that the 30-inch pipe that goes underneath the football field couldn't handle it. And it backed up, and there was water that actually came up onto the track and the football field from up above. Having said that, we want to know if we're in trouble down the road someplace, and that's.
Well, if they see it as the main, if they see the mains on their property as theirs, and there's a backup upstream, is there shared liability? And we talked to our city attorney about that, and she has been ready to try to analyze that, but we decided that it would be important to know the results of this type of study before she looks into that further.
When we're talking backups, are we talking possibly into homes?
Well, that's a good question, Pam. If you remember, we're talking storm sewer right now, and backups into homes is typically sanitary lines, back up into basements. There is, though, in that area, as you remember,
Right.
4 or 5 years ago, we put an overflow relief manhole and reconnected that manhole at the park entrance on Plum and Ninth. And we ran another line at the top of that manhole over to the east trunk line. There's another manhole involved with that in the parking lot. Before that, we had constantly, we would have that lid floating in on Plum Street. Now, I've seen a couple of times where the lid down in the parking lot, it gets enough pressure to float that one. So, there's a lot of I&I, there's more coming, and this is from like Chris Press, for example, since the new addition to the nursing home up there, more fast runoff surfaces, roofs and parking lots. Even with that detention area that they put on their property, we're still getting more water than we can handle with our storm sewer, and it gets into Chris Press's. No, it'll get back up to that. Before the new addition up there at the nursing home, we had kind of solved that problem with putting in a bigger pipe and getting that water away from his backyard. Now we're back to that again, I'm afraid. Now, I'm going to throw one more piece of the puzzle into this. When we get this bypass sewer up on 13th, over to the west trunk line, when we get that in, that's going to be an 8-inch line that's going to be running full capacity, which will take that away from what's coming down to the park in the sanitary line. That'll take that to the west trunk line. And we're almost to the point where we're getting ready to pull the trigger on that. We've got all the pieces together. We've got to schedule that now. So, but anyway, that will help. But that still doesn't give us complete confidence that we're not going to have a problem sometime down in that football field. That football field costs how much that they're planning on putting in? 600,000?
Total project right now, they said is 2.7, but the football field itself was 700,000, I think.
And that's, well, we've heard of football fields that have gotten flooded and they've had to take them out. So if that happens, we want to make sure that we've done due diligence and made sure that our stormwater is not going to take out their football field and who's responsible for putting it back. So that's our.
The biggest problem that I see is how much more is athletic insurance going to cost on an AstroTurf field than on grass, natural grass.
Possibly.
If they looked into the statistics, they'll find out it's about 2 to 1. So who's gonna pay the difference in the insurance for those kids that are gonna play on that field? It's gonna get sky high,
You know,
because it's more of a danger to play on AstroTurf than it is on real grass.
the one thing that the school did point out, when Brian and I sat in on a meeting for a couple hours one night, the one thing that I wasn't aware of, that that's gonna be a plus for them is they're calling this an all-purpose field. They're bringing soccer in, of course, and they're gonna use it for a lot of stuff other than football. And that makes sense, if you're gonna put that kind of money into a facility like that, but, that's their position on it.
That still doesn't decrease the injuries.
Well.
So then we're trying to figure out, like you said, if water backs up in the field where you need to be replaced, then whose liability is that? And then liability further up the line.
Right. But I think we need to know the outcome of what
Yeah.
will happen.
The hydrology study
Right.
that we are paying for.
So, yeah, I would think to have a study done before we agree to much of anything.
All right. Spear with the first and Leaper with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes,
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Alright, next one is discussion of possible action concerning the approval of a revolving loan fund application for Don Roth. Linda?
Well, first, Amy, I want to say thank you for putting me ahead of Adam.
yeah.
He's such a shocker. I had to do that, I'm sorry.
I agree with that.
Pam agrees. Is there a second? I'm sure there is. I have to give kudos to the council. Our trip applications and our revolving loan fund, you are really helping businesses grow in this community. So kudos to you. And I know that because I have several more applications out. So our city, I can see big changes going on. So thank you very much for believing in our businesses. So Don Roth, we have the revolving loan fund. This went to a financial advisor and then to the commission. For this project, it's $305,000. And we looked at this and they have recommended the loan to him for $10,000. Financial advisor said that he sees no credit risk at all here. That we're short of electricians. This is going to be a great asset with the building. And so when it went to the commission, then they said 0.5% interest rate to help out this business individual. Pay back in 7 years with monthly installments. They wanted some agreements though. One thing that they wanted was a personal guarantee not only of Don, but of his wife, Melissa. And then also a second mortgage he put on that building. Monthly installments would begin 3 months after the check was issued to them. And so I bring this forward to you to see if you have any questions or that I will really be happy to answer if you have any questions or concerns.
Okay, so I'll let you answer them. Alright, so if there are no questions or concerns for Linda, is there a motion?
For approval?
Second.
Anderson with the first and Spear with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Anderson,
Yes.
Alright. And then to number 5, which is discussion of possible action concerning a trip request for Don Roth.
Right, and I enclosed some photos for you to look at as well. Again, this, what they recommended the commission was $7,500. This project is $280,000. We're putting money into the community, and hopefully at the next council meeting, I want to show you the amount of money that our business owners have put into the community and how much the city has invested as well. I've been working on that, and I have more to add, and it's very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So the commission recommended the $7,500 for him to begin this project, and then after the project is completed is when he'll have the reimbursement. He has to show me his paid bills, and I have a copy of those contractors' bids.
Is there a
So moved.
Spear with the first
Second.
and Leaper with the second?
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
All right, on to number 6, which is a resolution approving the application for the urban revitalization tax exemption filed by Rosh Properties, which is Roth Electric.
And I think Brian's gonna
That would
take
be
the next
Brian's.
two, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where a project qualifies for all three of these programs. This one is the tax exemption program, where there is the option to have a 10-year graduated tax exemption on new improvements, as long as the work increases the assessed value of the property by at least 15%. Then the resolution lays out how the tax exemption works, starting at 80% in the first year, and then going down until 20% in the 10th year. This is a two-part approval. First, it has to be approved by the council, then it's submitted to the county assessor. And their main role is to determine the 15% or above.
So then, yeah, this motion would be then to send it on to the county. All right, is there a motion? McNeil with the first, and Leeper with the second?
McNeil,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
All right, number 7, which is a resolution approving an urban revitalization tax exemption filed by Chris Steffen and Jennifer Aarons.
Yeah, this is the same program, but it's for a house. And in that, the council gave the incentive of a 7-year, 100% tax exemption on new improvements as long as the work increases the assessed value of the property by at least 10%. And so this too, if you approve the resolution, would be forwarded to the assessor.
All right. There are no questions for Brian. Is there a motion?
So,
Leeper with the first and McNeil with the second?
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
All right, number 8, discussion of possible action concerning the last day for the outdoor pool at the Aquatic Center. Adam?
Hey everybody. I know every single year it's always hard to find lifeguards, and we started the year we were like, okay, we're gonna be open until a certain period of time. But the past, I think 3 years, I've come to you at the beginning of August and said with the last day we're proposing. I had Mandy put together and ask every single guard face to face when their last day is gonna be. With the pool not open yet, the swim team is gonna have to go to Muscatine to practice, and they have to wait until after band's done before they can go practice. Andy Owen, I'm in contact with Andy Owen, he sent me their schedule of band, and they're like in the morning as well as in the afternoon until 3. So the swim team can't even leave until after 3 to get down there, so that cuts out all the swimmers for lifeguarding and stuff, because a lot of them are in band. And if you go through the list, they're in band or in college or some fall sport. So we're proposing a two-part thing. We're proposing the last day will be this Sunday. I know it's really short. I'm going to talk to Brian about possibly extending some passes and stuff due to availability and stuff. We have talked to the water aerobics ladies too, that we will be open during the week and during the day. For water aerobics and stuff, that's about the only time we're gonna be open. The painters for the indoor pool in there now should be done on Wednesday. And then the painters for the roof and all the walls, they can start painting on next Monday, as well as the front desk area in the back hallway. So I'm gonna ahead of myself a little bit.
So this Sunday, last day.
Yeah. I know it stinks, but I mean,
Yep.
I don't have staff or anything.
He doesn't really need any action from us, though. No?
I take it your consensus is you concur.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's nobody there, it's
Is it okay for Linda? Okay for Linda? Okay.
All right.
What's our alternative?
Yeah, I know.
So then the next one is is discussion and possible action concerning patch drywall and painting the locker rooms and family locker room at the Aquatic Center.
Yeah, the Sheets Construction, they gave me a bid, as well as Pat Stefan. I just got it. I went on vacation last Tuesday, and unless I got to you guys, so many copies to give to you guys. I did have a third guy come and look, suggested by HBK. He came and looked, measured everything. He said he was going to give me a quote by last Monday. Never gave me anything. I contacted him 3 times in at least 2 voicemails, and never received anything back. So that's why I only have 2. In the Sheets bid, it shows the concession stand in our office as well. We were thinking we'd paint ourselves, mainly myself over the winter time, and we do that so that it saves money. So I'm only proposing just the locker rooms and the family needs restroom. Because right now they were asking me, I said, well, talking to the council, don't get ahead of ourselves because we'll make sure I got to go through you guys before. But Sheets is cheaper than Stefan, but I want to make sure I called a couple of people in town, and that was one of them.
I thought Stefan was cheaper.
The 22, whatever, I think it's 22,000 for Sheets. That's including tax is the same as his locker rooms and the family needs. Sheets is actually cheaper than Stefan's. Sheets included the concession stand and the office area. It's basically office area, locker rooms, and family needs restroom. We're not having them do the concession in our office. We're only having them do the locker rooms and the family needs restroom. So that's going to be lower than what that quote says.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Tim and I looked at it, I think it's going to be 17.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Yeah.
Because the office and the concession area are $1,000 and $3,000.
Yeah.
So then you're,
I'm suggesting Sheets. So they wanted to do stuff today, and I said, nope, not, wait, please. So,
alright.
Motion for Sheets.
Anderson with the first to take the Sheets bid. And Leeper with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
and going along with that too, I know I talked to Brian about, with the construction and everything, I've been talking to the contractor as much as possible, as much as I can, emailing everything, progressive meetings and everything every 2 weeks. I'm hoping that we'll open by the 23rd, first day of school. That's our goal to do that, because going by how many days you carry time before we put water in the pool, and Tyler Rose coming in and doing his testing of the mural and everything, but I wait until he does that before we start putting water in it. So, 23rd, if it doesn't happen, 23rd would definitely be next following Monday. So that's our goal right now.
Great.
So,
Just to clarify something about the painting. You know, if they were ready to go today, that means that they would be ready to go before any change order would be drawn up and brought back. So if they are ready to go and would work along the lines of what was presented, does anybody have a problem with proceeding before the change order appears?
Doesn't look like it. Alright, the next one, which is possible action concerning epoxy quotes for the outside panels at the Aquatic Center.
that I don't know. I mean, I
I'm
haven't got anything from,
I'm afraid we have to table that one.
I don't have anything from Joel or anybody.
He thought he had somebody that could give him a quote. He asked them, and they didn't do that type of thing, or didn't want to do it. So he was looking for another alternative, and I haven't heard anything. I emailed him a couple times and haven't heard back. So I'd ask for it to be tabled until we have something to bring back to you.
Alright, is there a motion to table?
Second.
Leeper with the first and Spear with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem, thanks, Adam. Alright, so down to number 11, which is a resolution waiving the right to review the final plat of Phase First Edition in Cedar County.
Yeah, you had one of these at your last meeting. It's another case of a subdivision occurring within 2 miles of the city limits. In this case, it's 1.51 miles away, so it isn't likely that the city's going to have any development 1.5 miles away. assumed, so the thing that this would have you do is waive our ability to control the subdivision process, and then the county would be able to follow its process.
All right. Is there a motion? McNeil with the first. Leeper with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
All right, number 12, which is discussion and possible action concerning a change order number 1 for the 2019 street projects. Steve?
Well, Brian and I worked pretty close with Garden Associates, Jack and Drew was the inspector on the job. The change order, and I forgot to review that today, but I think I know exactly what the details are on most of it. The first part of that, have you got that in front of you, Brian? The first part of it
Well,
was.
the first time it was bid, we had put together $380,000 for the project. It came in $95,000 less, I think,
Mhm.
than what we assumed. So the council decided to extend the project, such as from Fourth to Lynn and Lynn, yeah, on the other end. And there may have been somewhere else too, but the thing that happened was the project area was extended. So that took up most of what we're talking about here.
That's the big chunk of the change order. We just made the project bigger with that change order. The other major factor in that whole thing was when you're doing asphalt and you mill off 2.5 inches or 3 inches, you don't really know what you're getting into. And this last year, as we all know, based on what happened other places in town, we had streets blowing up with moisture and poor sub-bases. We found a lot of that. And as a result of that, if it didn't proof roll, by proof rolling, that means a loaded tandem truck driving over that after it's been milled off. If it's spongy, now in order to have a solid street put back, we've got to core that out and put rock in. And that was a huge part of it. And along with that, another piece of the change order was a leveling pass. We initially didn't have a leveling pass put in the whole contract, but with so much coring out and rock put back in order to get a smooth street, they did a leveling pass, which put a little more asphalt down, but leveled it out so that the final 2.5-inch pass was smooth. And so we really we knew that the big change order with extending the project was coming. We didn't know about the rest of it, but when you get into I talked to Jack, once you get into an asphalt project, you gotta make decisions that are gonna give you good results. So that's basically what happened.
Can't see under there what's there.
Well,
It's not going in at all.
we're boring stuff. Do you remember?
We did not do borings on this one. If they, sometimes we have with heavy traffic streets, but the streets looked solid. Here's the thing, when this was drawn up, it was a year ago. And the streets appeared pretty hard and solid. So we didn't do borings. Now, we did, like, if we do South Street, something like that with a big concrete project, we did borings on that. In fact, one of the guys and I did the borings. So we assumed that there would be some rock base under 2.5 inches, that the street would be at least 4 inches thick. But it wasn't like we were going down and doing a full depth reconstruction. This was from the get-go, was designed as a resurfacing of streets. So that's, any other questions on that? That's as much as I can shed light on, I guess. But I'm really happy with, and I'm happy with Garden on that whole thing too. Drew, who was a young guy just out of college, brought me in every time he had a question. You come and look at this, what do you think? And we did put a lot of sub-base in some soft spots. But as a result, we've got something that's gonna last us a lot longer.
What they did looks really good.
Yeah, I'm really tickled. I don't know about you folks, but I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on the progress here in town.
Yep.
That along with the patching machine and, yeah, we're feeling like things are heading in the right direction.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions for Brian or Steve, is there a motion on this change order? McNeil with the first,
Second.
and Anderson with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
All right, number 13 is discussion and possible action concerning a striker contract for top and power lower.
So maybe I can shed some light on number 12 and 13 at the same time. So long story short, our cardiac monitors and pretty much our patient therapy products are made by a company called Physio Control that was recently purchased by a company called Stryker. So in that, their contracts really got messed up, and our power cots, their warranties and their contracts were expiring this year. Our our physio equipment was still going, but we found it would be easier just to rewrite all the contracts and have the same exact vendor with the same product and take any type of a refund. So in both of these two, number 12 and number 13, we're talking about 2 power cots, a power loader, 2 automated CPR devices, and then 2 defibrillators, so approximately $171,000 in product. So number 13, excuse me, the consideration for a striker contract for the cots and power loader. Both of our cots and our power loaders, their maintenance plans are up. This year is the first year that we need a maintenance plan on the power loader that we put in about 2 years ago, I want to say. I recommend that we go through Stryker to have some sort of maintenance plan done on this. Traditionally, they come out once or twice a year to check on the product. If there's any issues with it, this plan covers everything bumper to bumper with the exception of wearable items, meaning the mattress pad and wheels that get gunked up with gravel. We don't have tons of issues with this. Our equipment's in fairly good condition, but it's something to note now that our cots are now at 10 years old, and even the manufacturer is saying it's time to start thinking about getting rid of this, and they really weren't too comfortable with doing such an extended warranty on it, with the exception that our product is in decent condition. The power loader is in fantastic condition. It's just, on both of these things, when you're carrying patients and you've got people's lives on it, I really worry if something happens, the first thing I'm going to do is just point my finger right at the guy who serviced it and say, how'd it look? And we've had this happen, not dropping, but people saying there's an issue, and my first phone call was straight to the manufacturer, and they sent me the documentation when the issue was over on the spot. So that's number 13 for my recommendation. There's only one other company that does service, and they just do it on the cots. Nobody does service on these power loaders. And the price tag difference, it wasn't even worth bringing it up to you. So that's 13. No. Oh, I'm sorry. For the power loaders and the power cots, we're looking at $10,742.82. Per year, that's $3,580.
What am I looking at wrong here? It looks like up in your ProCare coverage, it's like 13,000.
I have. If you go below it where it says grand total,
Yeah.
they took a discount off of it,
Oh,
and I
okay.
called them and said, where's the math at? And they said, pretty much I'm known for being the guy that bullies you until you give me a discount. And they
Oh.
said, Brad, it's gonna be $10,742.
Well, I like
Stop
that
asking
answer
us. No problem. So that's number 13. And then number 14.1, on a roll, our defibrillators and our automated CPR devices, same exact thing. Stryker bought it out, so this is now transitioning from a physio contract to a Stryker contract. The price tag from what we have right now to what we'd be going to, same exact numbers, just changing the title on the contract. Same exact exit clause, which is a 90-day warning. All of our money goes back to us. Nobody else in the area will come to you and work on your products here on the spot, and we just don't have the spares available for defibrillators to start shipping stuff out. The other thing is, this year alone, we had our blood pressure cuff equipment failing on our units. It was a $2,500 fix, and part of our bumper-to-bumper maintenance plan on this was that they just put it in, and that was how it was. There was no additional cost to us. That contract, before Brian asked me,
is $16,340.40. Another thing to be noted on this is we had to change this contract. We had two Lucas 2 devices or Generation 2. I got in a grant for 2 new ones that were about $16,000 a piece, and unfortunately with the change, we could not switch the serial numbers over without doing a new contract for it. So we didn't add on the older units right now because we're just not using them tons right now, but it's something to consider in the future. The annual fee for this right now is $5,446. The total for these 2 contracts is $9,027.26. So it comes out to be about 5.3% of what the total value is on something like this. Our total budget for the services is $10,000, so we have the money in the budget this year, and that's the whole purpose of this line, is to pay, unfortunately, this single vendor now. Questions?
Well, I didn't see a discount on the second one.
It's in there.
Oh, I didn't-
15%.
Oh,
These new cots, are they gonna be more comfortable than the other ones?
These are,
No,
from experience.
Yes, from experience.
these aren't new cots. The, next year, we should be talking about new
Okay.
cots. Then they are more
Okay.
comfortable.
I remember a lot of the nuts when I was at station wagon.
alright, so to number 13, which is the Stryker contract for only the cots and power loader. Is there a motion? McNeil with the first, and Leeper with the second,
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
and then number 14, which is the Stryker contract renewal for the defibrillators and the Lucas devices. Is there a motion? Leeper with the first,
Second.
and Spear with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
Alright, and now to discussion and possible action concerning the EMT education. Mr. Ratliff?
This one's a lot more exciting. We have somebody on our service who wants to go through the EMT program, and I'm absolutely ecstatic about it. We've gone through different colleges throughout the years, but my experience has been with Kirkwood. To take the bias away from this, I'm not teaching this class. I might be able to sub once in a blue moon, but the instructors for this are phenomenal. They taught yours truly, and I think I turned out halfway decent. The total cost for this course is anticipated to be $2,064. It's a 6-month-long course and it'll begin this fall, and I'm just really excited to have somebody who wants to take this class.
So go ahead.
Is there any, kind of agreement we have with someone that when we pay for the class, that they have to stay so long, or?
We've seen it go both ways in the past. I'm always cautious about pushing agreements too far down
Right.
on somebody, just because if somebody's coming to us saying we're willing to do it, we've had a good successful history with them, I'm just excited to have them. We do have agreements with other EMTs, and I try to aim for about $1,000 annually is what the repayment amount is, and that's worked out really well. That's if you guys would want to see something like that, that's what I would suggest, is having somewhere around about $1,000 repayment. I'm not worried at all about quote-unquote flight risk. So this person leaving, I think they've made an investment into us, and we'd be lucky to be able to make an investment into them.
Alright, so then what action, if any, are you looking for here? The $2,000 for the
Yeah,
class?
if I remember right, anything over, I thought it was around 1,500, needed to be brought in front of the council on something like this. And truth be told, I also work for Kirkwood, so I don't want to have any question of a bias that I'm trying to award a contract to. The person works in Iowa City, and the closest campus to where they work is in Coralville. Well, I would think that'd be most practical for everybody.
I think I'd still like to see us have some kind of policy. I mean, so that it isn't every person who comes through and wants the training, that we treat one differently than the other.
I'm fine with that.
And
Okay.
are you looking for more of a service time rather than repayment?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. They're like, if they're here 2 years or whatever, then they don't have to repay anything. But I'd like to have something that is for everybody, not that we look at each situation differently. I think it should be fair.
Sounds good to me.
Alright, so then is there a motion concerning this?
I would move that we pay for the schooling.
Spear with first.
I-
What,
Oh, sorry, if you wanna consider adding on to it, you might say you're approving it subject to the city attorney approving contract that can be used, if that was a concern.
Okay, or is it something that he could have in as policies or ordinances, or not an ordinance, but,
the one like one of the bylaws and stuff.
The nice thing is I gotta look at you guys instead of telling me.
Big
what you
fix
want.
it?
So either which way, would that be
Okay,
something
so,
well
yeah.
run by our attorney to make
I
sure?
think so.
I think it should be drawn up by the city attorney, so it's legal.
Alright.
And then it's
And
just
if
done,
they,
and
and if they go for it, great, if they don't,
it would be how we roll.
Well, it has to be something that they feel they can
sure,
enforce if it comes
Yeah.
down to that.
yeah.
Right.
So you are moving to pay for the education,
I
but also adding on
have our attorneys drop some kind of contract
contract,
that they agree to.
whether it be monetary or service time.
Right.
Alright, so that's the first by Spear.
Second.
McNeil with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes,
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. Alright, so the next one, which is discussion of possible action concerning a one-time water and sewer bill exemption at 527 Cedar Street. I believe this one fits all of our requirements, so there is a motion. McNeil with first,
Second.
and Leeper with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Anderson,
Yes.
Alright, so now we are down to 17, which I will ask for a motion to go into closed session, but we will be returning after that closed session for another agenda item in open forum.
Brian,
What's the
can
other?
I add something? I've got an answer on the thickness of that cement.
Yeah, sure, might as well, real quick.
The cement is 6.5 to 7 inches, but is poured with M for maintenance mix, which is 8,000 PSI concrete. It also has a mat of 1/2 inch rebar.
Alright. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, so if I could have a motion to go in closed session. Leeper with the first and McNeil with the second.
Leeper, McNeil, Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Alright.
So you have to
Thank
come
you,
back.
everyone.